Now for what's trending in true crime, a new lawsuit accuses country music superstar Garth Brooks of sexual assault and battery. The plaintiff, who calls herself Jane Roe, says she worked for Brooks as a hairstylist and makeup artist and traveled with him on work trips. Brooks is famous for songs like Friends in Low Places.
I got friends in low places where the whiskey drowns and the beer chases my blue.
In the lawsuit, Jane Roe alleges that the incidents occurred in 2019 and claims that she was once raped by Brooks during a work trip. Now, in addition to sex assault and battery, the suit accuses Brooks of repeatedly exposing himself, talking about sex and sending sexually explicit text messages. In a statement to CNN, Brooks said, quote, "For the last 2 months, I have been hassled to no end with threats, lies, and tragic tales of what my future would be if I did not write a check for many millions of dollars. Hush money, no matter how much or how little, is still hush money. In my mind, that means I am admitting to behavior I am incapable of. Ugly acts no human should ever do to another." Now, the year of these incidents is 2019, these incidents that are in question. And that's what's been identified by this plaintiff. And in California, there's a 10-year statute of limitations for rape. Okay, so this case could be in a prosecutor's office if they accepted it, if they vetted it and felt there was a reason to go forward. So we're wondering this morning, why a lawsuit and why not go to police? Let's bring in our guest. Joining me this morning, retired FBI special agent and the host of Break the Case, Jennifer Coffindeffer, and criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, David Bruno. Good morning to you both. So much to unpack here. And so let's begin, if we can, with the idea that this could still be prosecuted if it has merit. And when I saw that date, I'm like, wait a minute, this is post Me Too, this is post Time's Up, this could be in the DA's office right now if it's reported. Agent Coffindeffer, could we start there with you? Your thoughts on that, please?
Well, I agree with you, Julie. It doesn't make a lot of sense to go straight to a civil suit and not even go to police, at least that we're aware of. And I have to tell you, some of the details in this civil suit also don't make sense. It's very explicit, being held upside down by one's feet as they were sexually assaulted, in midair. It's very strange. In addition, the time span. But I'll tell you what, there are supposed audio and text messages that support her position. I'll be very interested to see and hear those.
Right, Agent Coffindeffer, and thank you for that. In this suit, and this is. It's not a long suit, and it is explicitly detailed. And when you really read it, I'm glad you pointed that out. So on pages 13 and 14 of it, it details this alleged rape that this woman is claiming happened, and saying that she goes on a work trip with him and that he only rents one hotel room for the both of them, and she's in there with him and this rape happens, where, as you said, Agent Coffindeffer, she claims that he had held her upside down by her ankles and penetrated her. That is just one of the allegations. It's a Veerment 74, if anybody wants to look that up. And she goes on to say that a few months later, there was another incident. And I guess I'm scratching my head this morning because if this was a violent rape and such conduct is being alleged, I don't know why this hasn't been brought to police. David Bruno, you're an attorney, you've been on both sides of the courtroom. Why do you think they're going the lawsuit route here?
Well, look, I mean, this is a long-standing employee. She was there for 20 years. And the first questions that I would have is, at the time of the incident, was police contacted? Now, I would bet that the answer is going to be no, because if so, I mean, police would have absolutely furthered an investigation to identify whether or not they could prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. Let's not forget, civil, preponderance of the evidence, criminal, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And as prosecutors, When those types of cases and investigations come in, they have the resources to do what they do. DNA would be something, search warrants on the room itself, trying to find forensic evidence to corroborate these allegations, because these are very serious allegations, obviously, allegations that would land Garth Brooks in prison. So with that being said, if that didn't happen, then the prosecutors handicapped. They have problems because without the forensics, it's a he said, she said. And if there's no corroborating evidence, then it goes to the weight of the evidence. And that's why prosecutors may not have brought criminal charges.
And David, appreciate that. And I read the lawsuit multiple times, and Ina Veerman's 98, 99, and 100. It makes it sound perhaps like this could have been a consensual affair and a regrettable one. And so to be fair here to Garth Brooks, we want to balance this out. Okay, the allegations are that he raped her in this hotel room, repeatedly sexually assaulted her, made lewd comments, all of that. But then on the other side, before this suit was filed, we know that there was an anonymous celebrity, now disclosed to be Garth Brooks, who tried to block her legally from going public with these allegations, saying that they're false. So in a statement, Brooks said, quote, "We filed this suit against this person nearly a month ago to speak out against extortion and defamation of character. And we filed it anonymously for the sake of families on both sides." Now, this woman's attorney told CNN that Brooks' efforts to silence our client through the filing of a preemptive complaint in Mississippi was nothing other than an act of desperation and attempted intimidation. So I want to be really clear here. Before this lawsuit by this plaintiff was filed, her legal team called up Garth Brooks' legal team and said, by the way, here's a copy of this. We're going public with this if you don't settle it. So they were made aware that this was going to come out and this was going to be made public. So now let's talk about, why did Garth Brooks then go ahead and file this civil suit? He could have settled if he wanted to. So bearing that in mind, he could have settled. He has the money to make this go away, but he didn't. He didn't. Why did he do that? Let's bring back in Jennifer Coffindeffer and David Bruno. Agent Coffindeffer, let me go back to you on this one. Why do you think that he went the legal route, trying to block it, rather than settling this quietly, which we know he had the means to do?
Well, when I see something like this, I think it's because he truly believes that he is not responsible for raping or sexually assaulting this woman. Remember, there is motive on her part. Supposedly, she was seeking to be salaried. She was seeking a raise. She was seeking medical benefits. And that wasn't going to be allowed by Garth Brooks. He had just employed her as a contracted makeup artist. So there is motivation here. Obviously, he also has very deep pockets. And Julie, I think he wanted to get ahead of this. I think you also bring up a good point. Could this have been a consensual situation? I think definitely he feels like he was being extorted.
Jen, I appreciate that. David Bruno, let me go to you here, please. Do you think that was the smart legal move for him? You know, because he's saying he didn't do this. So bearing that in mind, if you're his lawyer and he's saying, look, I didn't do this, do you think he did the right thing by taking that preemptive strike with the court to try to stop this from becoming a civil suit?
Garth Brooks is the only person that could answer that question. It really depends on the truth of these allegations, because look, in his statements, we don't have to go too far to get the answer as to why. He said hush money is hush money, no matter how big or small. And that goes against his values and so he has taken a stance. Now it's a public stance. Now it's going to be brought out. Look at this. We're talking about this now. This is a public filing. He has his extortion claim filed. She has her sexual assault claim filed. And now it's out there. So every litigant, every person that has to make that decision has to look deep into whether or not, number one, is there an admission that was required for that pretrial settlement? What entailed the money, the financials to get out of this? And he had to make that decision in his heart, what was best. And look at what he has done. He has brought this out. And if it was a consensual act, well, then that's going to be a public story, and that's going to be just as bad, if not, for his public relations.
You know, David, it's a fair question here. You know, in really that's the question that I guess is going to go through the court system. Was this in fact a rape, or was this a consensual sexual encounter coupled with regret and a plan to try to seek money? We will leave it there for now. Great analysis from you both, and you're sticking around, Jen Coffin, for David Bruno on the show. Coming up next.